Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Casper in the 1995 movie. This is a very charming, very pleasant, very nice little comedy romance movie. That's right. Casper isn't so much, it is based on Casper the Friendly Ghost. But for the most part, it's not really an adventure story. It's not really a coming of age story. It's not him doing tons of good deeds all around town. It's a romance story, which is very interesting because I wasn't expecting that when this came out all those years ago. And even though Steven Spielberg didn't directly produce this movie, he did want to do an adaptation of this. But it was Colin Wilson who produced the movie, and it was Brad Sibling who directed it. Brad reminds me of a very colorful Tim Burton. When you look at this movie, it looks and feels like a Tim Burton movie. The house on the exterior is on like a Hollywood set. The interior looks very like, macabre-ish, kind of like the Addams Family. And I know Tim Burton didn't direct the Addams Family, but you know what I'm saying. In fact, what's interesting is when you watch this movie, it has a lot of parallels to the Addams Family movie that came out before it. Because, okay, you have the giant mansion. It looks very macabre inside. Christina Ricci is in this movie and she played Wednesday Addams. You have a villainous woman and her lawyer trying to find the wealth of inside the mansion. They're very evil and everything. It has this kind of goth-ish fun element to it, you know what I'm saying? Then there is the house on the exterior, which is on a lot, and it just has a very Addams Family type vibe. I wonder if that was the plan going in all along, or because when they cast Christina Ricci, they decided, hey, let's just kind of build off the success of what she did in her movie and stuff. But Casper the Friendly Ghost, my God, this takes me back. Based on original comic strips where he had two little feet, Casper is a ghost who does not like pranking people. He likes helping folks. He's very friendly. And he came from Harvey Comics. And there are two characters in this movie with the last name Harvey, which is a nod to Harvey Comics. Harvey Comics came back out in 1941, and then they ended in 2002. And Casper the Friendly Ghost is the most famous person to come from those comics. He's normally accompanied by the trio. Depending on what type of version you read or watch, the trio is either his uncles or just three random ghosts that treat him like slaves and stuff. Casper is extremely famous, coming out in 1945 in the comics and stuff. And then he made I think his television debut in 1959. I remember as a kid, I don't know who gave me these VHS, but they were the older Casper cartoons. And I just fell in love with them. It was just basically him doing nice deeds and helping saving the day. It was really enjoyable back then. But I'm not sure which version of it was. It might be the new Casper cartoon show. Possibly. I'm not really sure. There have been a total of 6 Casper animated series. One which was based off of this movie, which I'll get to in a little bit later. But I did see Casper Scare School that lasted from 2009 to 2012. I don't know if I particularly liked it. It was geared to kids, so I'm a little bit older now, so But Casper used to be a huge thing back in the day. And so, of course, it was bound to have a movie. And it did. This movie stars Christina Ricci as Cat Harvey. She was technically supposed to be Wendy. Wendy is a witch that normally accompanies Casper, but they decided not to pay the person who created that, so they held that off until one of the sequel movies. But there are a few nods to it. Also, Bill Pullman plays her father, Dr. Harvey, and stuff. Dr. Harvey is a ghost therapist who's looking for his dead wife's ghost. So every time somebody says they have a ghost in the house, he travels the United States, living in that house and, trying to find the ghost and stuff like that. And he takes his daughter along with him. She said in the past, I don't know how long it's been, probably like the past year, they lived in like 8 different places and she's gone to 8 different schools and she's tired of it. She believes that she will never find her mother. And so they agree that if they can't find her this time, then they will simply just give it up. This movie uses a lot of CGI on that of the ghost. And it's one of it was kind of not the first, but it's one of many around that time. There was very few. Jurassic Park was huge and stuff like that. And I really love the way they made the ghost look in this movie. The way the ghosts look is they're very transparent. Now, of course, they kept the look of what Casper and the trio looked from the comics. They didn't make them look human looking at all. So it's kind of weird that once you're a human and you turn into a ghost, you tend to look like this, which 2 of the humans do die in this, and they do turn into ghosts, but they keep their hair and their clothes for some reason. I guess the longer you stay a ghost, the more you lose that. And with the transparent look, it's basically you see the front of their face and body, mostly their face. Towards their body going down below, it's a little transparency, and in the back is completely transparent. And they have tails as opposed to feet, like in those comics and stuff. And it's a really cool look. You don't really see ghosts look like that in movies. If you do see a ghost, they'll be completely transparent, where you can kind of you'll see their full-on body, but you will see through it, Or you'll have this ghostly, foggish, smoky kind of look or something like that. But here, it's you see half their body. There are a lot of behind the scenes stuff that went around that is so crazy still to the day. Of course, they use the tennis balls on a stick to show where where the ghost would be at, so the actors can have something to act off of. The first movie, this movie, was made by Universal Studios. When you get to the DVD movies, they was taken over by 20th Century Fox and that of Saban Entertainment. And of course, when you know about Saban Entertainment, they tend to go the goofier kiddie route to please more younger people, which did not make folks happy. The director from the Ninja Turtles movie, he turned down a job. Steven Spielberg was supposed to have a cameo, but he's not that good of an actor and didn't want to do it. Crazy enough, J.J. Abrams worked on the script. I didn't know that dude predates far back as that far and everything. My God. That's just crazy. The interior of the house should look familiar if you're a Backstreet Boys fan, because they filmed one of their music videos there. And that's just crazy and stuff. And so this movie has tons of cameos from tons of famous people. You have Rodney Dangerfield, who was also in one of the sequels as just a cameo as well. There's a Nike cameo. Ben Stein's scumbag behind is in there. Let's see. What's that dude? Clint Eastwood's in this movie. Mel Gibson's racist behind is in this movie. And a couple of others and stuff. There was supposed to be a huge musical number, but thank God that got cut. And there was two different Caspers. Devin Sauer plays the live action human one, but like what's his name? Malachi Pearson, he's the one who voices Casper in the entire thing. Not sure why he didn't play him and stuff. See if I can see. He's 42. Devin Sauer is 45, so he's older. So maybe he didn't have like maybe he's not that well known as an actor or something. He looks like Devin Sauer a little bit. I don't understand why he didn't play him. He looks kind of like him. I mean, he's not bad looking. He hasn't done that much acting before that. He did some stuff on Full House, voices for the Little Mermaid, a show called Capital. Maybe he's just, I don't know, isn't that well known or whatever. But he looks a bit like Devin Sauer, so I don't understand why they didn't do it and stuff. That's just strange and bizarre. This movie had tons of like little tie-in video games and stuff. I never played none of them. I did watch the animated series though. That was cool. This movie was supposed to have a bunch of like, well, a sequel and stuff, but like I'll get into that later. And the special effects took 2 years to complete. You gotta remember, this stuff was brand new at the time. And to get that transparency look, like you had to be spot on and stuff. Especially because the lead actor is, all CGI and stuff. And so this movie deals with a antagonist, a woman who is, I think her name is Catherine. She inherited the house, and so basically she saw that there was read a note from like her deceased relative saying that there's treasure in the house. Her and her lawyer go there and they get scared by the trio. Well, no, first they get scared by the trio. Because the movie starts off with, I think they get scared by Casper, I think. That's what it was. Because in the beginning of this movie, two boys go in the house and they get scared by Casper, but we don't get to see what Casper looks like at first. Just kind of like the hand or something like that of him. So then the Catherine lady, she goes there and she gets spooked by Casper, who's trying to be as nice as possible, but it's not working. When they send a construction crew in there, the trio scares them off. And funny enough, a Ghostbuster shows up in this movie. Ray shows up. Ray in his Ghostbuster outfit. He gets scared by the trio. So they are like, basically out. Like they don't know what they can do. And then so Casper is like watching TV and he sees something about a ghost therapist, Dr. Harvey, and he sees his daughter, Kat, and he's head over heels by the way Kat looks. He's in love with her. So he makes it so that when he finds Catherine, he makes sure she watches the TV about the ghost therapist and everything. And then that is basically the plot of the movie. It's very 90s. One problem with this movie is the pacing. Like one moment, like when when the Harvey family's in the house, the trio does not want them there. They scare away everybody. So they scare, they scare Dr. Harvey as Casper is scaring Kat by mistake. And so Dr. Harvey, he decides, I'm going to fight the ghost off with a vacuum cleaner. The ghosts have been dead for so many years, they don't know what a vacuum cleaner is, and he sucks them all in. And he locks his daughter in the closet. When we get from that scene, then it's the scene where Casper is talking to Kat. He fixes her breakfast. She asks him a bunch of questions like, can I hurt you? Can you hurt me? And he's like, no, but technically the ghost can't hurt. a human. And so then we see her father comes in. He's a little scared of like Casper, but not really. Then the trio shows up and they all have breakfast. After all that hoopla of them fighting each other and stuff like that and getting scared and getting sucked into the vacuum cleaner. The pacing is weird, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you go from that to them all being nonchalant and just having breakfast? So then they all decide, yo, we're just gonna share the house together and live in it. A little odd of a plot. Like, there's not much of the plot. Like, it's literally just him trying to, it's like literally the bad guys want the treasure. He wants Cat, so he brings them there, and then they all just live as like a happy human ghost family. It's not much of a plot. That's why this movie is just charming and cute. Like, it's a classic and everything, but it's not much driving really the story and stuff. So you get the trio. The trio is hilarious. But once the trio does show up, that's when it starts to get a little cartoony. Their look is more cartoonish than in that of Casper, and they're less transparent. But basically, they're just there to have fun. You have Stretch, who likes to stretch his body out to scare people. You have Fatso, who just likes to get as large as he can and scare people. And he tricks Dr. Harvey into thinking, oh yeah, we can look in the ghost world and find your wife. And oh, there she is, and there's a glowing light. And he's going through the door, and it's Fatso dressed as a woman and kisses him. Then you have, what's the stinky one name? Stretch faster. Oh, Stinky, that's it. And he just basically has halitosis and scares people with his stink. And so it's just them, you know, pranking like Dr. Hart. But after a while, they stop. It's kind of like a mutual respect kind of thing. Well, then the movie takes an unexpected turn and we see Kat at school. And when she's at school, she is the new girl. And kids are just treating her like she's the new kid. Like she's thin air and everything. And so there's this one kid at school who she thinks is really cute, and he asks her out on a date. And then of course she gets a antagonist, a little girl, for some bizarre reason. You think this would be the driving part of the movie, but then even that's not. It's just thrown in there to throw it in there because that's a very 90s thing to like do. And so they have to have a Halloween party, but they can't at their school for whatever reason. She wants it at her house because I guess she's rich or popular or whatever. But once they find out where Kat lives, they want to have it at Kat's place. And she agrees, even though she didn't ask her father. This pisses off the girl. And so that's when that dude asked her out on a date. He didn't want to. That girl made him and stuff. So this makes Casper a little jealous, but that's about it. And so after that, him and Kat, they bond, they talk, you know. She finds his old room with all his toys. His his toys are very old, indicating that he is at least from like maybe the 1920s or a little bit before that. And so like he doesn't even remember, like he don't remember too much, because when you die you forget, like, you know, who you are and like stuff like that. And he slowly starts to remember who he is, but it's very, very, very slow. And so she finds an article about like his father. He starts to remember how he died. How he died is very tragic. I'm not sure how he died in the comic or even if it's ever addressed, but basically when he sees his sled, he went out in the snow on his sled and caught pneumonia and died. His father was grief-stricken, and his father apparently was a mad scientist and tried to find a way to bring ghosts back alive. And his father was able to do it, but was unsuccessful because for some reason, I think he died before he could test it out. There's like this red liquid that you have to use to bring somebody back to life. Once again, like it's so crazy about the whole Addams Family reference, because in the mansion there are like, you know, this slide thing that takes you to a part of the house, and then there's a treasure, and then there's all this weird scientific stuff, and also their trains, very much Addams Family. So him and her are going to use it to bring him back alive and everything. But then, the woman and her lawyer overhears this and they all like, whoa, immortality and everything. And then they're all like, wait, hold up. We can't find the treasure. If we was a ghost, we can fly through the house, through the walls and find it, then bring ourselves back to life with this machine. It's a little weird and hokey, but like I said before, it's the 90s and this is based off a kid's cartoon. So now the lawyer and the woman are trying to kill one another and stuff. And the woman drives and hits like a tree near like a cliff. And when she gets out the car, she falls down and dies. So when they're gonna test it out on what's his name, the woman shows up as a ghost and she's very ghostly looking. And so she steals like the formula and everything, and then she punches her lawyer out the window. He went flying so high up in the air, how did he not die? Because we don't see him after this no more. She finds the treasure but can't open it and stuff. Casper is pissed. He's like, that's my treasure. And so the way they get rid of her is very clever. A ghost, the reason why Casper is there is because he didn't want to cross over. He had unfinished business. He wanted to find his dad or something like that. But then his dad later died. So he just stayed there with the trio. The trio is never referenced as his uncles. They're just three ghosts that are there. But in the cartoon series, they are referenced as his uncles. So they trick her into thinking she has a fulfilled life, that she doesn't have anything left to do. She's all like, I have the treasure, I have the formula, I have this, I have that, I got everything I couldn't want. So that tricks her and she passes into like the afterlife and everything. The chest breaks open and we see what the treasure is. It's a baseball glove and it's a baseball. So while all the kids are there and everything, we don't get really no scenes with the kids in their costumes at this party. We have the little girl at school who doesn't like Cat and that boy. They're gonna dress up as ghosts. They don't really do much. So then it takes another unexpected turn. See, when Kat told her dad she had a date, that made him upset because, oh, his daughter's growing up and she's going to leave him just like his wife has died and left and stuff. So while at a bar, he walks outside this construction thing. He died somehow. Must have fell in a hole or something. He comes to the house like a ghost and somehow he's able to find Kat down in like the basement. And of course, he doesn't remember who he is, but then later on he does when she helps him remember. So Casper gonna use the last bit of like the formula on him. There's only enough for one person, so he uses on him. So he can never be a human boy and date and love Cat. And it was a really touching sacrifice. This is something he wanted ever since like he met Cat and learned about his father. And so they use it on the dad. Now, what doesn't make no sense that the dead body is at the construction site. Yet, when the ghost goes into the machine and comes out, he comes out as flesh and blood human. That part don't make no sense. A lot of 90s movies kind of skip over explanation and stuff. So then, I guess Casper somebody sees the girl and the boy, scared the crap out of them. They go running through the house. The ghosts show up at the house and the trio and everything, and it scares all the kids on out of there. So not a big like hoopla about the kids even being there. They really didn't even have to be there and stuff. But then something crazy happens. A woman comes out from the sky. Well, this is before before the kids got scared and ran. Let me bring up this part. So a woman comes out the sky wearing a red dress. It's Cat's mom. And so apparently she tells Casper, because of your nice deed, you have until the stroke of 10 o'clock to be a human boy. He wants midnight like Cinderella, but the rules don't work that way. So this is when Devon Sauer shows up. He sees Cat. He has to dance with her. She thinks he's like dreamy and she dances with him, but she has no idea who he is because she's new at that school. Then he reveals himself and they're floating in the air. The kids don't really see them floating in the air. Why are the kids there if they can't even see that? So anyway, the ghosts show up. They scare the kids. They run out. Then the mom talks to the dad and talking about how she misses him and stopped feeding her daughter French fries for breakfast and everything, and forced a little bit more rules and this and that. She doesn't even talk to Kat. So what was I get she came back to see her husband, talking about, you don't have to keep looking for me. I'm in a better place and everything like that. Like, she has passed on, and she doesn't look like a ghostly ghost. She looks like a human ghost. And it turns out the trio found her in the afterlife because they kept their promise of looking for her. But we see that off screen. So it would have been nice to see that. But then again, it was like kind of like a wow, they really are nice. It would have been nice to see the trio do more ghostly bad stuff, because they are somewhat antagonists and stuff. And Casper always has to stop them. So, yeah. So basically, the Harveys decide to stay in the house and everybody lives happily ever after and stuff. And it's just a charming, nice little movie. The plot could have been a whole lot stronger. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like, the trio just there to pull pranks, but they could have done something bad. Casper could have went on an adventure and like stopped them along with Kat and this and that. But the movie made a lot of money, right? So they wanted to make a sequel. Well, here comes some problems and stuff. Pullman and Christina Ricci had other projects to do, and plus she really didn't want to come back for a sequel and stuff. I'll get into that a little bit more. So they made a direct-to-cartoon sequel entitled The Spookular New Adventures of Casper on Fox Kids, and it lasted for 4 seasons. And the Ghost cast all returned back to lend their voices. However, the person playing Fatso had to leave in the 3rd season and got replaced by the other actor from like the movie, and who also voices him in like the sequel movies. So a bunch of sequel movies were made and everything. And Universal lost the rights and gave them up to 20th Century Fox. And that's when Saban Entertainment came in. And the, direct to DVD movies didn't really make people all that happy. It was more humorous and stuff. There was Casper, A Spirited Beginnings, that kind of retconned the first movie just a little bit. It was a prequel. And basically, it now states that, Casper is related to the trio. I don't recall that movie. I think I saw it, but I don't remember. That one has a boy lead in it. Then there's the whole Casper Meets Wendy movie, where we get to see Hilary Duff for the first time. I believe this is the first time she ever acted in like anything. And of course, she will go on to play Lizzie McGuire. And this is when the animation started to look very childish and stuff. I remember watching this movie. Oh, it also stars Blake Foster, who later on went on to be the Blue Turbo Ranger, who works for Saban. I remember thinking the movie was okay when I first saw it on TV. I tried to watch it again, I saw it on YouTube, and I just couldn't watch it anymore. It was just so immature, and the acting wasn't all that great. And the actress who played the bad lady in the first movie played like a witch in this movie. And then somebody else who was in the first movie was in the second, the prequel movie. When it came to these movies, the Spirited Beginnings recast the entire trio. And so for this movie, I can't remember if they got recast or not. I think they kept the same ones from the second directed movie, or they kept the first cast, but then just replaced one or two. However, Casper keeps getting recast in every movie. And because, the actors start to get a little bit older and stuff like that. When it comes to all this Casper stuff, you can actually find, no more you can't. The 1995 movie was on Tubi. As of now, I'm talking on September the 30th. And tomorrow, October the 1st, when I upload this movie, it will no longer be on Tubi for some bizarre reason. You think it would be for the Halloween month, And they're taking down a lot of their Halloween stuff for some bizarre reason. The Spooktacular cartoon series, you can find episodes on YouTube. Also, with the Casper Spirit School Hot, whatever that thing is called, you can find that on YouTube as well. As for everything else, you gotta do some soul searching for that. And it's funny because when it comes to these movies, Christina Ricci, because see, also the reason why the sequel never got made is because the direct-to-DVD movies didn't make that much money. But back to Christina Ricci. I love myself some Christina Ricci. Like, I've been a fan of her since the Addams Family, and I have a couple of like her movies when she was younger and stuff like that. I've seen her and stuff when she was older, and one thing I've noticed in this Casper movie, her acting is off in this movie. She gives a very somber, very bland performance. Like, here's the thing. When she's acting and doing stuff, she looks cool. She's the cool kid. But the moment she talks, she just seems like she could care less. And that's because she really didn't. She revealed that she doesn't like her performance in this movie. She thinks it's terrible. Even her son said it's cringe. Because she said she was 13, her life was changing, and she was just a typical teenager who could care less. And so because of that, she didn't give it her all in this movie, and you can tell by her performance. She doesn't have any of her, she only has one quirk when her eyes get big and she looks surprised. But other than that, and when she screams, but other than that, every time she delivers a line, it's very somber, very bland. It's like she just didn't care. And I just remember seeing that in the movie thinking, what's going on with her? Like, because the way she talked, you think she would have been like a grunge character or a goth character, but she wasn't. She just dresses the way she normally does when she was in younger movies. That's kind of like the tomboyish kind of thing. Like, you ever notice that in her younger movies, she's always dressed like a tomboy and stuff? But that's how she was in this movie. So she didn't act goth or anything like that, but she just kept having this somber, I could care less kind of like performance and stuff. So if you're able to find this movie anywhere, check it out. Like, it's worth the show. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's fun, it's pleasant, it's cute and everything, but it's not what you expect. Don't expect from watching the older Casper stuff, because like even there was more of a plot in those direct to DVD like movies than it was in this one. It's just a love story. Casper sees somebody he's in love with. He finds a way to bring her to his house in a creepy kind of way, and then he tries to like impress her and everything, and tries to get him to fall in love with her, but it ended up becoming like buzz. But she does have feelings for him, but he's a ghost. But the thing, when she does have feelings for him, they don't harper on it. They don't like dig deep into it, because it's very much a 90s kind of movie where the plot is very loose, very fast, and comedic and stuff. Now, wasn't that spooky? Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.